Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here once again to make you a themed cocktail. Today, we'll be making the Voodoo Magic cocktail, which I believe is very popular in New Orleans. I'm not sure. Karen picked this drink, so maybe she will elaborate in the podcast. We'll see. So, to make our drink, we're going to need a shaker with ice. To that, we're going to add 1 part whiskey. All my parts are going to be 1 ounce. 1 ounce whiskey. How convenient. Vodka. 1 ounce of vodka. Amaretto, or Di Serono. That's what I like. 1 ounce. And 1 ounce for me. Delicious. Next, 1 ounce sour mix. One ounce or 1 part pineapple juice. In this house, we save our tabs. 1 ounce pineapple juice. Next, 1 ounce orange juice, or 1 part. Next, we shake it, shake it, shake. Next, we take our glass with ice. We're going to strain our beverage over the ice into the glass. Oh my God, look at that. It's like I planned it. Finally, we add a splash of cranberry juice. Splash. And that's it. There is your Voodoo Magic cocktail. Yeah, pretty good. Definitely get the whiskey. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the podcast. See ya.
What do you really, really, really want? And what would you be willing to do to get it? In this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, number 45, Voodoo Woman, we meet Marilyn, a woman who is willing to do anything to get her golden ticket. She'll betray her friends. She'll seduce anyone in her way. She'll even kill a man. all of which make her the perfect test subject for the mad scientist's evil plan. Poor Marilyn. She sets her sights on becoming a voodoo priestess, but not everything goes her way. Or does it? Also, I'd like to add that it is the best kind of friends who gift voodoo dolls. Just saying. Cheers.
Welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, I'm Greg,
Hi, I'm Karen.
and welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different but highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. Hello, Karen. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you, Craig?
Just okay. What's the matter? You're usually excellent, or
Fine. Or fabulous.
fantastic, or fabulous, or fabulous, or good.
I'm never that. Just been a little under the weather, but doing better now.
Okay. Now that you're talking to me, you're doing better.
Yeah, just talking to you and seeing your happy face makes me smile,
Yes. That's what I'm here for, Karen.
as it should be. How are you, Greg?
I'm good, Karen. Thanks for asking.
Well, you're going to carry this one for sure then. You'll have to be delightful.
I'll try. All right, Karen, I don't think we have any corrections or any of that bullshit from the Black Cat. Was that last week's the gem that I chose, Karen? Was that it?
Yes,
Black
that
Cat?
was.
All right, so I believe this week it was your choice. Was it not, Karen?
This gem is my choice.
So it is my turn, Karen, to ask, what on God's green earth provoked you to pick this film, Karen? Isn't that what you asked me last week?
Something like that, yeah. Why? I think I said, why in God's green earth did you pick
Yes.
this?
So what film have you chosen, Karen?
I've chosen Voodoo Woman from 1957.
Yes, Voodoo Woman, 1957.
I did not do proper research before picking it.
Any reason why you chose it?
It actually came out the first week of March in 1957,
Did it?
which this podcast will come out. So I thought, oh, that's a nice little connection.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, good. I'm glad you put some thought into it. I just thought you picked it out of the, just threw a dart.
That would be a better excuse for this, but no, I actually looked up movies and chose this one from a couple.
I do
Go
know
ahead.
you like your voodoo, Karen.
I thought it would be about a woman practitioner of voodoo, wreaking havoc everywhere or something, which is
Okay.
not what it is.
Not at all.
No,
You did not read the brief synopsis, Karen?
nope,
Might you have a brief synopsis, Karen?
I do.
Okay. Please tell us a story then.
Deep in the jungles, a mad scientist is using the natives' voodoo for his experiments to create an indestructible being to serve his will. When a party of gold seekers stumbles upon his village, the scientist realizes that Marilyn, the expedition's evil leader, is the perfect subject for his work.
Thank you, Karen, for that brief synopsis. All right. Thank you, Karen, for that brief but
Brief.
accurate
accurate, yeah.
synopsis.
It is accurate, I think.
Do we have a cocktail for this movie, Karen?
We do. We kind of stole a cocktail from a restaurant in New Orleans called Tibby's. And on their menu, there was a drink called Voodoo Magic, which listed the ingredients, but did not exactly tell us how to combine them. So we're freewheeling it a little bit. But yes, we're going to just call it Voodoo Magic.
Well, you are, Karen.
Yes, I am. You want to know how to make it?
Yes, Karen. How do we make it?
Or how
Tell us
I
the
made it?
ingredients and how you chose to make it.
So you're going to take 1 part whiskey, 1 part vodka, 1 part amaretto, 1 part sour mix, 1 part pineapple juice, and 1 part orange juice. Do you see my scientific method there?
Yes, 1 part.
Yes. So put that all in a shaker with ice, shake it up,
Shake it, shake it, shake.
pour it into a glass with ice. So pour over ice.
Strain it into a...
Yeah, a glass, yes, with ice. And top with a splash of cranberry.
Okay.
You want to give everybody a chance to go do their voodoo magic?
Absolutely. Everybody go gather your shit and make your 1 part drinks. Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Tell me, Karen, what did you use for your 1 part in these drinks or in this drink?
You mean for the whiskey part?
No, it's 1 part whiskey, 1 part vodka, 1 part amaretto. Would you use for your 1 part? Did you use 2 ounces?
Oh, I always get confused by that. You ask me all the time and I never remember. An ounce.
An ounce. Yes.
Yeah,
So
a
did
shot.
I. So did I.
And I used bourbon for my whiskey.
So did I. Jim Beam, to be specific. I had just about 1 ounce left in a bottle and I used it. A little teeny tiny bottle, Karen.
Oh, like an airplane one?
Something like that, yeah.
I think it's tasty. Maybe a bit of a summer drink, but tasty.
So it's a popular drink in New Orleans, apparently, right? Or Bourbon Street or...
I don't know. I don't know where Tibby's is.
Okay.
But I'm going to search it out if I ever get back there. I love that city. And it's a perfect drink for me.
I'll take your word for it.
What, about New Orleans or the drink?
No, the drink. That's a perfect drink for you.
It's called Voodoo Magic. Come on. I'm all about the voodoo.
That's true. We already did say that, didn't I?
I'm not sure why you would say such a thing, but whatever. I'm delightful.
Only one person I know has ever given me voodoo dolls, and I believe you've given me several. So, just saying.
Voodoo dolls
I don't
for
know.
luck and protection.
Yeah,
not...
well, they're voodoo dolls. Same thing. You know,
really, only one person. Seriously, you only know one person that would give you voodoo. That just doesn't seem correct to me.
I mean,
whatever.
They're meant for good luck and protection, but what I choose to do with them, Karen, could be something completely different. But yes, only one person.
I don't think you can do that.
One person in all of my many, many, many years on this earth has given me voodoo dolls, and you have given me more than one. To protect me, and I appreciate it, Karen. Thank you.
Yeah, so watch out, people. I have voodoo dolls, and I distribute them. When I went on a girls' trip to New Orleans with my friends Stacy and Denise, they are very proper women and did not want to go into Marie Laveau's house of voodoo, but I did. And I got so much stuff in there. I got a free tote bag. So there you go.
Okay.
Not saying that's where your voodoo dolls came from, but hey, who knows? Only good voodoo people. Don't go down dark magic. Except with this drink.
All right, Karen, are you ready to get into this film?
Yeah, but I do want to address one thing.
Okay.
Before we start, and that's the prominent stereotypical racism that's in this film. Instead of saying African tribesmen, or because it's ridiculous how they're dressed, how they speak, the whole deal is very 1957 racist.
I just described them as tribesmen. I did not specify. I might have called them voodoo tribesmen at some point,
yes,
but
and
I
I'm
did
just
not
saying,
specify.
The priest is the priest, and we're not going to describe their clothing or anything like that because it's just ridiculous. They are villagers in an African nation. You just have to let that go as 1957. We're going to follow the story, not the racism or any of that that's prevalent. I'm just going to, so if you watch this, expect stereotypes for sure.
I didn't think it was that bad, actually, but that's me.
You might if you were African.
I don't know if I would. I don't know. I mean,
just to err on the side of.
Chief speaks pretty good English when he wants to.
Well, that's the thing. He goes in and out of being able to speak well.
He speaks to the white man and then he speaks to his tribe. He has to speak in their languages. So, all right. You ready to get into it after that disclaimer?
Yep. Let's go.
All right. Voodoo Woman from 1957. Did you watch it on Amazon Prime, Karen?
I did.
The first thing that popped up when I was watching it said rated 7+.
I did see that.
So you have to be 7 years old or older to watch this.
Did you think that was weird?
Yeah, I did.
Because they're smoking, drinking, killing, voodoo.
No, it's not graphic, except for the smoking.
No, but we watched another film that was
And the loose
21
woman.
plus.
Well, I mean, if you're 7, I guess you probably won't get it, but lots of innuendo.
Well,
Right.
yeah. Just that's an odd rating. I've never seen that before, but
I hadn't either. It's first time. Then we have credits, Karen, and the title's in a very cool drippy voodoo font, I thought.
I agree.
But the rest of the credits are just regular font in their credits. But we do see lots of Froggy's Fog bubbling up in the background behind the credits. Next, we see a jungle tribe dancing. I said jungle tribe, Karen, because they're in the jungles somewhere. And they appear to be draining the blood of a boar or a pig into a pot. Next, they place a girl on a table. And she's yelling and screaming as they're grabbing her to put her on there. But as soon as they put her on the table, she stops.
I saw
Just
that
lays
too.
there. Like,
She just didn't even
okay.
fight anymore.
I'm submissive now. I'm on the table. What else can I do?
She could have rolled
You
off
got
and
me.
run.
I'm on the table. I'm just going to give in. The priest or the chief or whatever the hell he is place a voodoo doll on her chest. And then a guy comes up and takes a live chicken and swings it around his head.
And everybody backs up.
Yeah, and then he kills it right next to the girl. Off screen. We don't see it. Right.
But I think it's the same chicken. I think they did it, don't you?
No, I don't know. It's a chicken.
But there was a dead chicken then
Okay.
laying next to her.
Okay. People got to eat. You got to kill it before you can grill it, Karen. Maybe the crew had a barbecue chicken dinner that night. Who knows? Next, they stab the voodoo doll and the girl screams.
That's all she pretty much does in this movie. This poor woman, her only lines are screaming. Did she say anything? I don't think she ever did.
No, I don't think she did. She has a name, Karen. It's Zoranda.
You don't find that out till much later, but
the chief says Zoranda's under the spell now. She ready. And then Dr. Rowland, who we learn is Dr. Rowland.
Right. Right now, he's the white man next to
the white man wearing a funky hat.
Again, a ridiculous hat, but proceed.
Yeah, he gives her an injection.
So basically, there's a girl on the table. There's a voodoo ceremony that puts her under a spell.
Into a spell.
And then the white guy comes along and injects her with something.
Yeah, he says something about my magic and your magic and join the two and some shit like that.
And then there's chanting and dancing and lots of drums.
Yes. Next, we cut to the doctor's hut.
Back at the home hut.
Yeah.
That's what I called it. Yeah.
And he has skulls in his house, and they are very unrealistic, I wrote.
I didn't even comment.
Skull props are terrible. And there's a lady hiding behind a curtain as Bobo comes in to raise the curtain. Bobo is the African servant, right?
Yes.
And we learn that this woman is Susan eventually, but she's the doctor's wife.
And she's begging the servant to help her get away.
Apparently
She
she's
wants to
being
leave.
held there against her will. Yes. But Bobo offers her tea. That will make it all better, Karen. Tea.
Well, he says
some
he'll
hot
be
tea.
killed if he helps her. So they're both stuck there. But yes, he decides, I know what will help you. I'll get you some tea.
I mean, she offers him her watch, right?
Lots of
Some
jewelry or
jewelry?
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. To run and get to the next town and send help. But he can't. He said he'd be killed.
Nope. And then we cut back to the ceremony with Zoranda.
Well, wait. There's a servant outside the house too. So Bobo's like the house servant, and then there's this big, huge bodyguard like dude with a spear. watching her every move. So
It's
she
keeping
can't
her
leave.
inside and keeping her
Right.
trapped. Yes.
Because when you see her, the windows, they have like bamboo bars or something.
Yeah, they're just bamboo.
But she's thin enough to slip right through them. And I said, why doesn't she slip right? And then the big dude comes with the spear. And I said, oh, because
that's
he's out there.
Gandor. The
So
burly and surly native guard with a spear. He's described as Karen Gandar. Gandor. So cut back and we learn that apparently Dr. Roland is trying to create a superhuman being of the girl.
Creating a woman powerful of mind and body, which sounds cool. But he's a little bit off the rocker there.
And they all drink blood.
Oh, you didn't write down
blood.
You didn't drink the formula?
No.
What they mixed them? Oh. So they're making this blood. I think they put it on her. The blood of the fox to make her cunning.
Yes, that's right.
The claw of the cougar to make her strong.
Yes.
And the venom of the viper to make her kill.
Yes.
And they put it all on the voodoo doll that they have on her.
Yes. But they don't drink all that shit.
No, they pass around looks like a wine glass with wine in it. It's very...
Yeah, but it's blood.
It's supposed to be blood, but it's not near thick enough. It's just watery wine.
It's pig's blood.
Pig's blood is thick too.
Okay. So next, just as they're sipping, or the doctor is sipping that blood out of that wine glass, we cut to a bar and there's a guy sitting there drinking wine out of a very similar wine glass, which is kind of a cool transition.
Yeah, that was...
I'm giving him a point for that.
That one thing they're getting a point for.
But we cut to a bar and there's more drum music. And that kind of transitions well too. You got drumming at the voodoo camp, and then it transitions to this bar where they're drumming as well. Playing the bongos, Karen. Cool, daddy-o. And we see who I keep calling treasure hunters. That's what I call them. And they're talking at a bar, and it's Marilyn and Rick. And Rick is going to go on an expedition with Harry.
Mm-hmm.
Harry West.
Yes. But they're going up north.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Marilyn and Rick are not arguing. They're staring at Harry, trying to figure out where they're going, when they're leaving.
What's in it for them, and what are
what's
they looking
the prize?
for? Right.
They seem very uninformed on this mission that Rick is about to go on.
Right. And Marilyn tries to kind of use her feminine charms on Harry, Karen, which he resists. And he says, listen, you hate me and I hate you. That's just what it is.
Yeah. So before they go over there, Marilyn's with Rick, her supposed boyfriend. Yeah. And she says to him, I just thought this was funny. She says, it isn't that he's so smart. It's just that you're so stupid. And then she says, I don't know how I ended up with you. And he says, well, I used to have money. So yeah, then she goes over to Mr. West and tries to sweet talk him, but he knows her and she knows him.
And Harry and Rick are going out into the wild country hunting for treasure. And Harry won't tell Rick or Marilyn what they are hunting for. Won't tell them, just tell them going for treasure. So Marilyn and Rick go back to the bar.
This whole time, they're making her out to be a very bad woman. She killed a man in the States. She's picked up a bottle. She's about to whack Harry. She's trying. They're making her out to be very ruthless.
She is. I'm not making her out to be that. That's what she is.
She is. There's just no subtlety here.
Yeah.
Marilyn wears the pants in that relationship. 100%.
So they go back to the bar and Marilyn tells Rick that she is going to outfox Harry. She tells Rick to go and wait in Harry's room. Next, Marilyn tells the bartender that she is going to Harry's room as well, but she does not want to be seen. So the bartender has one of his girls, Yvette.
Yvette takes over.
Yes.
This is hilarious too.
So she gets up and begins to sing to Harry specifically.
Yeah, while sitting on his lap.
Yeah. So she distracts Harry.
She's singing about voodoo too.
Yeah, the song's called Black Voodoo, I believe. That's what the credits said. So she sings and sits in his lap as Marilyn sneaks out behind them. Next, we see Marilyn and Rick searching Harry's room. Next, Harry goes to the bartender and said, "Hey, where's Marilyn?"
So Harry is completely mesmerized by Yvette on his lap. He thinks, of course, this woman's singing specifically to me. There couldn't be any other reason that she would be trying to distract me. I'm a handsome man, and she's, she would, of course, pick me to sing this song to. As soon as she is finished, he notices the couple's gone.
Yeah, so he goes to the bartender and asks them where they went. And I don't know, he says they left. I don't know.
The bartender tells him that Marilyn's really pissed at him. And so he offers him a gun.
Yeah, for $5 American, Karen.
Yep.
Sells him a gun.
And then he gets a vet.
Harry is smart enough to check to see if it's loaded.
Right, he is.
That credit. But so Harry goes back to his room.
But there was one other thing he should have checked, but he didn't. Yeah, so Harry goes back to his room, but the bartender gets Yvette to sing loudly again, I think to block out what might possibly happen up in the room.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
Or maybe to warn him that he's on his way. Who knows? But we cut back to the room and Marilyn and Rick are in there and they find a golden idol in Harry's room. And just
they found a voodoo doll.
Well, it's a golden idol voodoo doll. Golden.
It has gold in it. She shakes it and it's got gold in it.
And Harry walks in and catches them. And Marilyn pulls her gun on Harry. And Harry already has his gun pulled, of course. But Harry fires his gun, but it does not shoot. Apparently, they must be loaded with blanks.
Oh, I just said the bartender has given him a rigged gun. It doesn't fire.
Yeah, well, it looked loaded, so it must be blanks. And Marilyn tells Harry that the bartender is a friend of hers. And then Harry wants to make a deal, Karen. But Marilyn refuses.
Marilyn's a badass.
She is. She's a bad girl.
Because she goes, nope.
And Harry throws his gun at Marilyn and kind of rushes at her, and Marilyn shoots him several times until he is dead. Harry gone.
Yep.
Next, we cut back to the jungle. And Zoranda. Remember Zoranda? The girl, she is now turned into a zombie.
So the scientist has some psychological issues. Because in the States, they said he was trying to go against nature. And she has turned. She looks like she's some sort of snake or reptile, or I don't know. Her
head looks very zombie-like to me, so that's what.
Well, that's true. It does, but her body looks more.
But her skin does look like she's scaly or some,
like a pangolin or something. But
I don't know.
But the priest wants to change her back, and then the scientist says no. And do you remember how he?
Well,
convinces...
the priest or the chief tells Dr. Rowland that she will stay that way while under the spell, and then she will change back. But Dr. Rowland wants to keep her that way permanently.
Yes.
So then Zoranda turns back to normal, and the chief agrees to let Dr. Rowland take Zoranda to continue his work on her.
Do you know why, though?
Well, they discuss it, and they come to an agreement.
Rowland says to the chief, or the priest, as I called him, convinces him by telling him that he can say it was all his magic, so he gets all the glory, and they'll do offerings to him. He'll and the priest's like, okay, cool. We'll do it your way.
Next, we cut back to Susan in her hut. She tries to leave, but is forced back by Gandor, the tribesman with the spear. So it's just reinforcing that Susan is trapped.
Yeah, she can't leave the hut.
Next, we cut back to Marilyn and Rick. And the bartender enters and they begin talking about Harry. And I guess Harry's funeral's already happened because the bartender was there. And apparently
he was the only one there.
Yeah, he had to pay off a bunch of people to make up stories about what happened or whatever.
So, yeah, he says she owes him a shit ton of money, basically.
And they show the bartender the golden voodoo doll or whatever the hell it is.
This is where,
because they do say the eyes, or Harry does earlier, says the eyes are made of like rubies and gems and shit. So I thought the whole thing was gold.
No, I think it's got gold stuffed in it.
Okay.
But when I was watching this and watching Marilyn, it was around this time where I thought Marilyn's a poor man's Elizabeth Taylor. Remember Elizabeth Taylor, young Elizabeth Taylor? She resembles her. She has the same kind of speech pattern. She doesn't quite act as well as she does, but that's who she reminds me of.
Yeah, but she did a lot of movies earlier in her career, but she retired very early.
What's her name?
Maria English. She ended up retiring and marrying a producer or something, and raising a family or whatever.
She's very pretty. She does resemble Elizabeth Taylor a little bit.
Yeah, right after this marriage, she married a San Diego businessman and retired from acting at the age of 21.
Wow.
But she did quite a few films before this. This was her final film. Marilyn and Rick concoct a plan where Rick will impersonate Harry because the jungle guide he had hired has never met Harry.
Yes, he was hired by mail.
Snail mail, Karen.
So he doesn't know what he looks like.
Next, I guess it's the next day, and the guide arrives, and his name is Ted Bronson. Do you recognize Ted Bronson, Karen?
No.
I did.
Who is he?
As soon as I saw him. And I read who played him, but I didn't make the connection. But it's Ted Bronson, played by Mike Connors. You don't know Mike Connors, Karen?
Not yet.
Did you ever see Mannix?
No.
You didn't watch Mannix?
No. What is it?
Way back when we were very tiny children.
No.
Okay.
Is it a detective thing?
Yeah, who's a PI Mannix, and this Mike Connors played him.
He looked familiar, but that doesn't help me.
He's kind of the poor man,
Not Mannix.
Sean Connery. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that I can see that. Yeah.
You don't
Only
remember Mannix?
PI. I watched Magnum. But
Karen, that was much later.
The mustache.
It was much later, Karen. I'm talking when we were wee little children.
No, I don't.
When Mannix was on. Ran from 1967 to 1975, Karen. Mannix.
No. Well, he did well for himself.
I remember watching it. Yeah, it was produced by Desilu Productions, which was Lucille Ball.
That's cool.
Desi Arnaz's production company, Mannix, a PI. So anyway, Marilyn tells Ted that she is Harry's boss.
They say he's American.
He is. Yeah.
Aren't they?
Yeah, I think they are.
It just seemed odd.
I mean, he starts talking to her and she says, "Oh, American, good." I don't know.
Oh, okay. That's what she must have meant. Okay.
I guess. And we learn that Ted doesn't mix business with pleasure, Karen.
Because Marilyn's a little flirty.
Just a bit. As she is with everyone.
Well, must have worked this far because it's her go-to.
Next, we see Marilyn, Rick, and Ted going over the jungle map.
The jungle map that looks like a Bugs Bunny map. It's just got one tree and some dots on it to show where they're going to go. Right. There's no terrain, no nothing. They're going to pop up and say, "Is this Albuquerque?" Or I took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. That's exactly what it looks like.
But Ted does point out that at one point they're going to be in voodoo country and it's going to be dangerous. And then Rick lets it slip that they are on a treasure hunt.
So what else would they be doing?
I don't know. We don't even
going into dangerous territory.
They never say.
Because Ted is very surprised that it's a treasure hunt. Because Marilyn and Rick don't want him to know.
It's a scientific expedition or something.
With Marilyn and Rick.
Well, at one point they say something about butterflies or shit. I don't know.
I just was surprised. I thought, why else would somebody be going into this kind of backcountry except for treasure? But Ted seems surprised by that.
And he warns them that the voodoo tribe will kill them if they make one hostile move or show too much interest in their rituals or customs.
Yeah. So anyway, weird.
Next, we're in the jungle and we see Marilyn rubbing Ted's hand, Karen.
She loves her some Ted.
And Rick is not amused. Rick notices.
Well, everybody notices.
He doesn't seem happy. Next, we hear the voodoo drums. And then I wrote, Ted and Rick have a pissing match.
Oh, I didn't even write that down.
Yeah, they get in an argument and they fight. And basically, Ted kicks Rick's ass.
Wait, I thought does that happen again?
Probably. Then they make camp. Like Rick wants to use his gun and go in there charging and show him who's boss and whatever. Ted stops him and he decides they're going to make camp there. And we see the tribesman watching them from the woods, Karen. Next, back at the Voodoo tribe, Dr. Roland is working on Zoranda.
In a cave.
In his cave.
Like. Yes.
Yeah. And she screams. And then Susan screams. We cut to Susan and she hears it and she screams. And Susan leaves her hut and goes to the cave because it's, connected via a door. I figured out. It took me a minute.
I thought maybe, is it a basement or something? But
I don't know, I guess. But anyway, there's a cave. That's where the doctor performs his experiments. And she goes there and sees him. And he tells her to go back to her room.
Like a child.
Yes.
Go back to your room.
So Dr. Roland follows her and
she does, though. She leaves
she
and
does.
Goes to her room.
Yeah.
She throws herself on the bed.
And Dr. Roland enters and they argue. And Dr. Roland tells her what he is up to with creating a superhuman. And Susan begs to let her go home alone. She wants to leave, but he refuses to let her go. And he tells her if she tries to escape, he will kill her, Karen.
She also calls him insane, which he's very touchy about.
Yeah, he's touchy about that.
He doesn't like that.
So next, back in the cave, Zoranda turns back into what I call the zombie. And Dr. Roland tells Zoranda to go to the village and destroy a hut telepathically.
Wait.
Which I didn't get at first. I was like, this sucks. He's talking, his mouth's not even moving.
Okay. She's not going to destroy the hut telepathically. Now that...
No, he's telling her. He's giving her instructions.
Right. He says he doesn't even have to speak to her. He can influence her with his mind. You're hearing, well, as we're watching it, almost sounds like a recorded voice to let us know the difference of when he's not speaking out loud. And he says, first he gets her to rise, and then he says, come with me. And she follows him into the jungle and go to the village and destroy the hut. And she does. But then he says, kill something, doesn't he? Does he say kill someone?
I guess, yeah, because she refuses.
She changes back through a shadow work. Like you see her go from this big, bulky. It's even hard to describe what she is. She's got a horrible, horrible white wig on. Like a
Eddie.
zombie.
She looks like Eddie.
Kinda. A zombie face, like Eddie, but the body's more like reptilian or something. I don't know. It's weird. But she's wearing a sack, like a burlap sack or something. I don't know. Because when she changes back,
it's funny how her dress changes as long
yes,
as her.
Yes. Because then when she changes back, she's got a nice printed
beautiful
dress
floral
on.
Gown.
Yes.
Next, we cut back to the treasure hunters camp. And then Marilyn asks Ted to tell her about voodoo. And Ted does. And as he does, Marilyn tries to come on to Ted again, but he resists her feminine charms, Karen.
And this is one of the many times she says she likes the sounds of the drums.
Yes. Yes, they speak to her, Karen.
They do.
Cut back to the jungle tribe. And the tribesmen are very unhappy about Zoranda destroying the village.
So Zoranda, we haven't mentioned yet, is from the chief's village next to them. One village over. And I'm pretty sure he sent Zoranda back to that village to destroy it. Not the village he's in, one village over. So she's destroying her own people. So everybody's pissed. Like, that's not cool. Plus, white people are nearby, and that's an evil sign.
And the chief explains that Zoranda will not do anything that is not a part of her nature. Like if she's not naturally a killer, she's not going to kill. She's not going to go against her morals, even if she is under the spell, right?
That's what he says.
Yeah.
But Roland thinks he can teach her to kill.
Yeah. Thinks he
not
can teach her to kill.
But
and the chief says, "No, teach this. Must be born to kill."
Yes.
And he wants the doctor to bring Zoranda back to the tribe. Then the doctor says something about, they're preparing for the night of the blood sacrifice, Karen, which apparently occurs in 3 days. And Dr. Roland tells the chief that he will bring Zoranda back then. Next, we cut back to the treasure hunters in the jungle. And Rick takes his rifle and goes to shoot one of the voodoo tribesmen watching them. But Ted stops them and they fight.
Yeah, this is where I thought you were talking about before, but Marilyn is absolutely delighted that the boys are fighting.
Yeah, and basically Ted kicks Rick's ass and Ted takes all their guns. He's got a gun in a holster. He's got a gun in one side of his pants. He's got a gun on another side of his pants. He's got a rifle on his arm. He's got another rifle in his hand.
I would too if
I was
all their
him. Guns.
I wouldn't let any of them have the guns.
Next, we cut back to Dr. Roland and Susan having dinner. A delightful dinner in their hut, Karen. Must be Sunday. They're dressed for dinner.
They're dressed for dinner. She knows he's building creatures in the basement. He knows she's a prisoner in the house, but let's sit down for dinner, honey.
And the doctor tells Bobo that he's told the chief about his carelessness in letting Susan leave the hut. And Bobo seems very frightened. And then the doctor says, I've decided to let you see what I've been working on. And he takes Susan down to the cave and shows her Zoranda. And the doctor demonstrates how he can telepathically control Zoranda. Even when she's not turned, he can still control her.
Yeah, this was kind of weird to me because she seems fine when she returns back to her normal form, but he can still control her.
That's what it looks like to me.
Or is it only when she's, because Susan says she's dead and he says she's not dead. She's between life and death or something. So maybe they performed either he did an experiment or something, but she's in this suspended state and that's why he can control her.
Could be. And here's why I might note that they add an echo effect to the audio.
They do.
When they talk in the cave to make it
They do
sound like they are in a cave.
Attention to detail.
So that's another point for them. So they got 2 points so far.
Hey, you're already halfway through the podcast. What do you think? If you like what you hear, can you take a minute and follow us on social media? At Scary Spirits Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thanks so much for listening. Now let's get back to the show.
Next, we see the doctor giving Zoranda an injection, and she turns. Then the doctor demonstrates to Susan how he can shoot her or pour acid on her, and she will not be harmed. She is indestructible, Karen. Susan calls the doctor crazy, and he's sensitive about that, so he bitch slaps her.
Yeah, he hates that. Roland thinks he's a genius, and he wants, because she's like, what do you want to do with this? And he says, I want to parade this creature through the halls of the colleges that mocked me. I thought, wow, that's specific, but okay. So once he smacks her, she runs back to the home hut
and locks herself in,
in her room.
Furniture, and drags the dresser in front of the door so no one can get in. Next, we cut back to the treasure hunter camp. And Marilyn says to Ted, "What's the matter? You act like I was sprayed with poison." And Ted says, "You are." Then Marilyn says, "You didn't think so last night." And then Ted says, "Temporary insanity. I knew you were poisoned the moment when I laid eyes on you." So apparently they got it on. Intimate encounter, Karen, the previous night while Rick was sound asleep.
I guess so.
That's one of those things, if you're a 7-year-old, you might not catch.
True.
Right? So Marilyn confides in Ted that they're going after gold used by the Voodoo tribe. And she offers Ted a 50-50 split. And Marilyn makes a comment that tells Ted that she is right out of the slums of Pittsburgh, Karen.
Yeah, and she don't give a shit about Rick. She's ready to cut him out right now.
He gone. He's dead to her.
Yep.
As long as all she cares about is getting her gold.
And how does she try to convince Ted to go with her? She kisses
him.
Yep.
Yeah. But he says, I'm still not buying.
So then she holds him at gunpoint.
So yeah, Marilyn pulls her snub nose 38. It looked like to me, Karen. What do you think?
That's what it looked like to me too.
That's what I thought. Her Saturday night special. Pulls it on Ted and takes all the guns back. Next, we cut back to Susan's cabin. And Bobo tells Susan about the white people in the jungle who are coming. And Susan writes a note and gives it to Bobo to deliver to the white people because, she thinks since they're white people, they'll help her.
He also gives her a gun.
Yeah, and he gives Susan, looks to me to be a Winchester rifle, Karen.
Oh, a rifle. My bad. Yeah.
So then Bobo goes to deliver the note, I guess, but he is stabbed in the back by Gandor, right? Is that his name, Gandor?
He's speared right away.
Yeah, Gandor spears.
So I think this is kind of
away.
Yeah, to show you how tight a hold there is on this hut. They're not pretending that they are going to kill anyone who tries to leave.
They mean business.
Yep.
All right, cut back to the treasure hunters again. Marilyn gives Rick the idol or the voodoo doll and tells him to look for similar markings that are on the doll on the tribe's huts and totems. Ted tries to get away, but they pull their guns on him and tie him up.
You missed one of the best parts. You skipped over it. So they know there is a tribesman following them, paying attention to what they're doing, watching what's going on. So she says, I'll distract them. And she just throws a rock.
Yeah.
She
throws several rocks.
Yes, but if he's looking at them, he's going to see her throw the fucking rock, right? But she just throws a rock and the guy's like distracted and goes off in search of the rock. And Rick goes in the other direction. And then Ted says, how do you know there isn't a guide in that direction? And Marilyn says, if Rick doesn't come back, then we know there is one. It's like, yeah, wow.
Good logic.
Yeah, she knows her stuff. So, yeah, but Ted does go for the guns.
All right. And here I think we cut back and forth rather quickly because we cut to the doctor and Zaranda walking through the jungle.
But did you say Marilyn ties him up?
Yes.
Oh, Marilyn ties Ted up.
They pull their guns on Ted and tie him up. And we cut to the doctor and Zaranda in the forest or the jungle. Then we cut back to Marilyn and Ted.
And she's still trying to seduce him. He's tied up and she's still kissing him.
As they share a Marlboro, Karen. He can't, he doesn't have his hands free. So she puts the Marlboro in his mouth and lets him take a drag. And Ted still resists Marilyn as they smoke a Marlboro, I wrote. So we cut back to Dr. Rowland and he sends Zaranda to kill Marilyn and Ted at the camp, but she won't do it. She turns back.
He tells her that these are enemies of your people and you must kill them. And he commands her with his mind to kill them. And she backs away. She disobeys his order. She transforms back.
Yeah, but the doctor decides that Zaranda is no use to him and he sends her back to her village.
Yes.
Next we see Rick. And he has arrived at the village and he's looking for markings on the buildings and totem. He's at the village where the hut was destroyed by Zaranda. And I guess he finds what he's looking for and he starts walking back and then he meets Zaranda on the path. And here I wrote, he beats her up, but he kills her, apparently.
He killed her, but why?
And he takes her necklace.
But he could have just ripped the necklace off and run. It was weird. And he's all slimy, like, hey, baby, you lost in the woods or something. I don't remember what he says. Something stupid. And then he just...
Yeah, I thought he was going to rape her at first.
That's what I thought, too. But then I
thought, well, 7+.
Me too. So killing her is okay, I guess. But
it happens off camera. You don't see it. That's why I didn't even know he did it, for sure. But then we cut back to the treasure hunter camp, and Rick shows Marilyn the necklace that he got from Zaranda. It has the same insignia as one on the map. It's like a serpent through a circle or some shit.
Well, it's the same one on the voodoo doll too. So the gold is probably there. The treasure's there.
But in the meantime, the tribesmen find the body of Zoranda, and they ain't happy. And the chief says the white men will die for this, including Dr. Roland. Cut back to treasure hunter camp with Marilyn and all of them, and Ted. And the tribe has arrived, and they want to know who killed Zoranda. And they all kind of blame it on Rick. And, well, he did kill her.
Marilyn just hands him over.
Yeah, Marilyn shoots Rick and kills him.
Well, when Rick comes back to camp, he's got scratches and his hand's a little injured. And Marilyn is suspicious about it. But when the tribe surrounds him and says one of you has to pay, she offers him right up. And then Roland says, no, one of you has to kill him in front of the tribe. She just shoots him.
He shoots him.
Doesn't even hesitate. And
Nope.
I wrote, Roland has found his girl.
Yes. And Roland makes it so that Marilyn and Ted can stay at the village for a while. Because Marilyn's already tried to work, her feminine charm on Dr. Roland, but he's too smart for that shit. He knows what she is. And so we're back at the doctor's house, and Marilyn gets her own room and is free to do as she pleases, come and go as she pleases. But Ted gets a personal guide.
A constant
In
personal
quotes,
guide.
I
Yes.
put yes.
So Ted's a prisoner. I can't remember who asked him, but somebody asked, "Do you live here alone?" And he says, "No, my wife is in this room, but
Yes.
she's mentally sick, paranoid, and has hallucinations of torture." So if
Correct.
she says anything, they'll think it's part of her illness.
She's a nut. Next, we cut to the doctor's cave and Dr. Roland and Marilyn. And Marilyn asks for the doctor's help in getting the gold. The doctor tells Marilyn that with his influence, they may make her a goddess if she agrees to go ahead with the ritual, Karen.
I think a priestess, because if she's a priestess in the tribe, she'd be able to access the gold.
Next, we cut to Susan in her room, and she comes out of her room and she meets Ted.
She's hungry,
Yes.
so she goes to the kitchen.
And Susan tells Ted about the doctor's work and that he's making zombies or superhuman people, whatever. And she asks Ted to go for help. And Ted tries to leave, but the guard stops him.
The servant makes it clear he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, Gandor. Next, we cut to the tribe and they're getting ready for the ritual of the sacrifice. Dr. Roland convinces the chief, or the priest, as you call him, Karen, that Marilyn will be perfect for the ritual and that she will bring Ted for the sacrifice the next night.
It's subtle in here, but Roland asks Marilyn to participate in order to get the gold. And he says things like, it might take your life. And she's like, I'm willing to take that risk. Like, she's thinking what he means is you could get killed, or, it might change your life forever. And she's like, I'm willing to take that risk. Like, he says these very subtle things to her that she agrees to, but he knows what he's saying, but she doesn't know what it really means. Does that make sense? He gets her to willingly participate without knowing that she's going to be turned into this other creature. She just thinks that,
Yeah, she's going to be a priestess.
Yes, it's going to take sacrifice and all, the way he words it.
She's going to get the gold. That's all she cares about.
But there's risk involved, and he tells
she
her.
Don't care.
Right, but he doesn't really tell her what he's doing.
No.
He's just saying there's risk involved. She's like, it's okay. I'll do it. Well, it might take your life. It's okay. I'll do anything.
They perform the same voodoo ritual that they did on Zoranda, on Marilyn.
Yeah, Marilyn gets right on that table.
Yeah, she doesn't scream once. So next, Ted sneaks past Gandor as he is sleeping and enters the doctor's cave. So it's connected to the hut. I mean, this is where I realized, it's connected. He opens one door and then he's in a cave somehow. But then he leaves out a door and winds up
don't stop.
at the window of Susan.
While he's in the cave, I just noticed that everything is covered in dust. Like it's dusty, it's dirty, there's
didn't
cobwebs. Like that's not good for experimenting. I'm just saying. Everything is covered in dust. But yeah, then he does. He walks out and he's next to Susan all of a sudden.
He opens everything and smells it. That's all I know.
Yeah, he's doing a smell inventory of what's there.
And here's where I wrote, there's a shadow of a boom mic as the tribal guard leaves the hut. So when Gandor leaves the hut, you see the shadow of a boom mic above him. And next, Ted, talking to Susan at her window, tells her that he is going to try to make it to
the nearby city.
Yeah, Bantalay.
That's what it sounds like.
Something
they said.
Like that.
But he went to investigate, and he tells her he didn't know who was crazy, her or her husband. He didn't know. So he went down to the lab, and he's convinced it's her husband. So he tells Susan, be ready to travel.
And he will come back with help. Then the guard finds Ted and forces him back into the house. But as he's walking back, Ted tells Susan to be ready to travel. Back to the voodoo ritual. And they turn Marilyn into a zombie. And the tribesmen get upset and want him to stop. The doctor tells Marilyn telepathically that he releases her and she will remember nothing. And then Marilyn turns back to herself.
Interesting little twist there. We didn't know he could do that.
Yes, but next we see Ted and Marilyn in the hut with the guard. And Ted is smoking a Marlboro again. Marilyn tells Ted that they're taking him to the ritual tonight to be sacrificed. Right?
Well, she implies it. She says she's going to be a priestess. And she's rubbing that in his face.
Yeah,
and
she's like, I'm going to be a priestess.
Yes. Well, as you would if you were going to be a priestess.
Snap, snap, snap.
And you're not.
That's right.
And you're going to be at the ritual too, implying that he's going to be sacrificed, but she doesn't outright say it to him. But she sold him out.
Then the doctor comes and tells the guard that he needs him for a minute.
Susan has a gun.
She has a Winchester rifle. Yes.
Okay, sorry, rifle. Why doesn't she shoot Gandor?
I don't know.
He's got a spear, but
I know.
His back's to her 90% of the time out the window. While they were over there chanting up a storm, she could have shot him and they both could have left. Couldn't they?
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, Karen.
But now Ted has extra motivation to leave because he's the sacrifice.
So while the guard is gone, Ted knocks on Susan's door and tells her that he's going to make a run for it. And that when he does, the guard will chase after him, which will give Susan time to get away. He tells her to wait 5 minutes and then make a run for it herself. And he tells Susan to wait for him along the path to Bantalaya, where there's a fork in the road or something. Shit.
Yeah, they have a meetup place.
Yeah. It's the same jungle scene we've seen over and over again. So whatever.
Yeah.
Same spot. Next, we cut to the doctor's cave, and the doctor injects Marilyn and tells her he will forever be her master.
Obey your
or she
master.
will forever be his slave, whichever. Master. Yeah.
She will serve only him.
Ted's up in the hut there and sitting by the door and with the guard, and he slams the door into the guard, like jerks it open real quick and slams it in the guard, dazing him for a minute, and he makes a run for it out the door. Next, we cut back to Marilyn, and she's turned into a zombie or whatever.
Wait, Susan, they do show Susan for a quick second. You can tell she's ready to travel because she has her safari hat on.
Yes, she has her special safari hat with a scarf on it.
Yes. So she's ready to travel.
She's ready.
But then they go back to Marilyn is transformed.
And then Susan leaves through the window of her hut. Marilyn comes after Susan as the zombie, but Susan shoots Marilyn, but it does no good. And the doctor has Marilyn grab Susan and take her to the chief.
Yeah, they didn't factor Marilyn into this whole plan. They didn't realize that she was going to come up from the basement. But
right.
Yes, she's got Susan and taken her off to the festival of sacrifice.
Ted and the guard fight in the jungle, and they each pull a knife because Ted found one before he left in the hut. And Ted stabs the guard, and he gone.
Ted wins.
Yes. Ted goes to where he was supposed to meet Susan. She ain't there.
but he does hear her scream. Next, we cut to the doctor taking Susan to the ritual to be sacrificed. The doctor says, "She was ready to betray me. She means nothing to me. Give her to your gods."
Well, because the tribe leader, chief, or priest, whatever you want to call him, Roland says, "I have your sacrifice for you," and it's his. And the chief says, "Your wife?" He says,
"Yes,
she means nothing to me now. Take her to the Froggy Fog pit."
So Ted comes back looking for Susan. He finds her gun and her hat with her scarf outside her window. And then he watches the ritual from the jungle. And he tries to sneak in, but a couple tribesmen grab him. And they take him up there and tie him right next to Susan to be sacrificed. And here's where I wrote, there's lots of Froggy's Fog everywhere.
Here's where I wrote, Susan's waist is about 3 inches around.
She is. I like Susan.
Sure you do. But Susan and Ted have quite the connection after only knowing each other less than 24 hours.
Yes. Here, my next line, Karen. Ted and Susan have made a love connection.
They have. They talk. They are
see it
lovey.
in their eyes.
They want to be together.
Susan was born in Ohio.
All the good ones are. Oh,
Board-
I wasn't.
Boardman, Ohio, wherever the hell that is.
I was not born in Ohio. So Ted and Susan are working to free themselves because for whatever reason, they're not tied on there very tight.
Yeah. But the chief tells Dr. Roland that the tribesmen want to sacrifice him too because he is a white man. And the doctor tells Marilyn that the gold is waiting for her.
Yeah, he mentally summons Marilyn with, "Your gold is waiting for you." And she comes running.
And he tells her to hurry. And then Marilyn comes and scares all the tribesmen away. Meanwhile, Ted has gotten loose and he and Susan run away. Next, the chief grabs the golden idol right off the totem or whatever it is. And then he trips and falls into the pit of Froggy's Fog.
But he dropped the idol on his foot.
He did.
He falls into the fog pit. Yes.
Then apparently all the bowls that we thought were gold originally are actually clay, just painted gold because Marilyn breaks them all.
She's smashing them and she's
ain't
getting
happy.
angry. No, she's not.
And Dr. Roland tells her that the only thing of gold remaining was the idol that the chief took with him into the pit. So Marilyn kills the doctor.
She barely touched him. Did she break his neck? What did she do?
She strangles him. Yeah.
Took like 2 seconds.
Even though he tries to tell her telepathically over and over to stop. Next, Marilyn turns back. Since the doctor's dead, I guess the spell is broken. And she turns back to her normal self.
She does, because what does she see and go for?
She sees the golden idol next to the pit. She goes over to grab it, and Karen, she clumsily falls in.
Yes. She falls in the Froggy Fog pit.
God, very clumsily. No one putting it, whatever. She just trips over her own feet and falls into the fucking pit.
An idol of that size, it was probably about a foot tall.
Yeah.
You think? If it's solid gold, that's going to be very heavy.
Yeah.
So if you tried to pick it up and you weren't prepared for its weight, you might fall.
But Karen, you and I both know that women have a lower center of gravity. So I'm pretty sure she could have done that.
Oh, I think so too. But yeah, she takes a header in there.
Next, we see Ted and Susan in the doctor's cave. And the tribesmen are coming for them. But Ted has made some Molotov cocktails and he throws one at them. And
he calls them that too. Yeah.
Next, we cut back to the bar. Ted and Susan walk in. Ted tells the bartender that Rick, and who he thinks is Harry, which is really Rick, is dead. He still doesn't know it's not Harry. And the bartender says that perhaps her friend is dead, but Marilyn is still alive. He has a feeling that she still lives.
Marilyn's indestructible.
Next, we see Marilyn as the zombie with her Eddie mask on, crawling out of the pit with the golden idol. Then it says, "The end.
Question mark. Dr. Karen.
Yes,
I know you were pleased.
I was.
That reads sequel.
Yes, it does. I don't think one was ever made, but
No. Well, this film was remade, but I don't think there was ever a sequel.
this film was remade.
It was.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, in 1966, it was remade into a made-for-television film called, would you like to guess, Karen?
Voodoo Woman?
No, Curse of the Swamp Creature.
Oh.
Yep. All right, Dr. Karen, anything you were pleasantly surprised by this wonderful film from 1957, which you chose for us to watch?
Thanks for reminding everyone that I chose it. Well, I like a good sequel setup, so there was that.
Yeah, sequel.
I thought she was gone. The old dragging herself out at the end. I love that stuff. So I was happy with that.
I knew you would be.
What about you?
Anything else?
I wasn't as disappointed in it as I thought I would be. It has the mad scientist. It had, magic voodoo in it, and parts of it were awful, but I thought it was a kind of interesting plot.
Yeah.
Combining the two different disciplines of, magic and religion and creating something together. It's somebody put some thought into that, and it was probably pretty good for its time. I think I was most pleasantly surprised that I wasn't very disappointed in a lot more.
Well, it's one of those that's so bad it's kind of entertaining. Right? So I did give them a point for the cutting between the scenes from, when the voodoo tribes are drinking blood and they cut to the bar, and it's a clean cut because they're sipping a dark fluid out of a wine glass and the drums are playing and the drums are, it's a nice transition.
There was some thought put into that.
I also gave them a point here for adding the echo effect to the audio when they're in the cave.
Agreed.
So they put some thought into that shit. So I give them credit for that. I'm not crazy about sequels, but I do, those kind of endings are they're fun. So I'll give them credit for that as well.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about sequels either. I just like when there's the possibility. I like when they set it up that way because it's not really done. You're not really safe, Yeah.
I thought the casting was pretty good. The doctor seems like I wasn't crazy about him at the beginning, but Marilyn was cast good, and Rick and Ted, Mike Connors was cast good,
and Susan.
Well, ask me one I'm very disappointed in, Karen.
What are you very disappointed in?
I wanted more Susan, Karen. That's what I wanted, but whatever.
Well, yeah, I agree. And I think also that I'm disappointed that Susan didn't take more initiative in getting out of the damn hut. I mean, once she had a gun.
She had a Winchester rifle. All she had to do was know how to use it.
Once she had a Winchester rifle.
It's a gun.
She should have.
Yeah.
I know, but she should have been able to manipulate her way out of there.
It is a repeating rifle. I mean, she just has to cock it, fire, cock it, fire, cock it, fire. I mean, she can. It's
going to be loud, but there was so much chanting and drums.
She could be like the rifleman, or John Wayne, or whatever.
And it was the maps were funny. They were very cartoonish. The walk through the jungle, it seemed to take them no time whatsoever to get anywhere. And they weren't sweaty or bothered by anything. It's just they were hacking their way through, and then all of a sudden there's this big nice clearing for camp.
It's 75 minutes, Karen, long. They can't spend a lot of time walking through the jungle.
It's okay. I mean, it's a B movie.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be good at a drive-in.
Yeah, I didn't really have a problem with it except for the stereotypical stuff. And even, like I said, originally I expected it to be a woman performing voodoo, which I thought would be cooler, but this was an interesting take on it. And I'm okay with it. It's not great, but you're right. A drive-in.
Yeah, if I was a teenager in 1957 and had a 57 Chevy, and I'd taken my best,
and a Susan.
I could take my best girl to the drive-in and watch this film.
You could take a Susan with you. Sneaking your friends in the trunk.
No, I'm not bringing my friends. If I got my best girl.
Friends can find their own way in.
That's right. All right, Karen, what kind of cocktail rating do you want to give this film?
Well, that's a good question. What have we given?
How many cocktails did it take you to get through this film?
What did we give Snake Woman?
Wow, Karen.
A 3?
That's going way back.
I know.
Way, way back, Karen.
Go back in the way, way back machine.
To our very early episodes. That was episode 7, Karen.
I like that episode.
We gave Snake Woman 3 cocktails. I think we were very liberal with our ratings back in the early
when
episodes.
We started out. Yeah, this might be a 4.
Okay.
I don't know though, because the ape I thought was worse than this. Didn't you?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
No, I'd say 3. I'm going to give it a 3.
What would we give the ape?
I think we gave the ape a 4.
We gave the ape 5.
We did?
Yes. Yes, we did. 5.
All right, then this can be a 4.
Okay. Yeah. So we're giving this 4 cocktails.
I'd say so. I just feel a little bad because it's obviously a B movie.
Yeah.
You know, it's not trying to be anything other than it is. So it's not a 4 because it's so bad and trying too hard. It's just a 4 because it's just not that good of a movie. It's not trying to be anything other than it is, but
I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I'm sure it made money.
It's not a negative 4. It's just a solid 4. It's a B movie for sure. And I like the B movies. So I did like it, but I understand why it should be a 4.
Okay. Giving it a 4. Any comments on on your Voodoo Magic cocktail, Karen?
Well, I think it's good. I think when I'm at Tibby's in New Orleans, I'm going to order one.
Nice.
I think it's more of a summer drink. It's very fruity. I think after some thirsty work.
Isn't it kind of warm in New Orleans?
Yeah. So
is it New Orleans or New Orleans, Karen?
Well, I say New Orleans, but I didn't.
Yes, I know.
I'm not. So is that because I'm Northern? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it's good. I don't hate it. It's pretty high alcohol content.
Yeah, it is.
Of course, we should, let everyone know that you're not drinking one, Karen.
Why do we have to let them know that?
Because I may be slurring my speech and you are not.
All right. Full disclosure, I am not drinking one this evening. I did taste it earlier this afternoon when we made one here.
You're under the weather, so it's okay.
I get migraines pretty bad, and I've had one for the last couple days, and I just didn't want to risk it. It can be a trigger sometimes. So I was upfront with Greg that I wouldn't be drinking one.
You did taste it, though.
I did.
All right, Karen, anything we learned today?
That's a tough one this time.
I know. Well, I meant to say we covered 1957 with The Curse of Frankenstein. So that's why there was no quiz. We already did that.
Yeah, I don't know if we really learned a lot here.
Yeah, I don't either.
That you'd ditch your friends if you had your best girl at the drive-in.
Yeah, I wouldn't bring them. Yeah.
That if I was Susan, I would have shot the servant and made a run for it.
Susan has a 3-inch waist.
She does. It's crazy. Marilyn's is pretty small too.
She knows Susan though. Susan's hotter than Marilyn. That's all I'm going to say.
You like the blondes? Not
necessarily, but in this case, I do.
Marilyn would be bossing you around all over the place.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
maybe it's a personality thing.
Yeah, I'd get annoyed with Marilyn real quick. I think I'm more like Ted.
Take what she gives you, then throw her away.
Temporary insanity, Karen.
Happens to the best of us.
I knew you were poison when I met you. All right, Karen didn't learn a lot, apparently. I know, and you're like the queen of voodoo, too. Didn't even have any like voodoo facts or...
Well, I was going to, but I felt like it might be insulting to actual people who know about voodoo.
Karen, is that all we learned today?
That's not a lot. I apologize to our listener. Not a lot of facts today.
All right, Karen, next movie.
Next gem is yours, Greg. What do you got?
I believe it's my choice. Well, it's odd. I didn't know that this film came out in the first week of March. But yeah, it did. March 1st, actually, it came out. So, Karen, do you have any idea what film came out March 5th?
Well, I'm sure lots of them did.
Which classic Universal film came out March 5th? Classic Universal.
The Mummy.
No, Karen.
The Invisible Man.
No, Karen.
Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing?
Or no, there's a swamp one. What is it? Swamp.
I believe you're thinking of the creature from the Black
Lagoon. Yeah.
That is the film, Karen. It came out March 5th.
Nice.
So that is the film I have chosen from 1954.
Wow.
The creature from the Black Lagoon.
You're going old school lately. I can't wait to hear what the cocktail for this one is.
Are you ready?
Yeah. What is it?
So the cocktail I have chosen is called the Creature from the Black Lagoon cocktail.
Clever.
Yes.
Okay. What are we going to need for that?
You're going to need some vanilla vodka, Karen.
Okay.
We're going to need some green creme de menthe.
Oh, I don't like that.
The green kind. And chocolate syrup.
Ew.
Yummy.
That's it?
It.
Is this another shooter?
No.
Well, how much?
I don't know. It's 2 ounces. So, yeah.
It's a shooter.
You're supposed to put in a cocktail glass, it says, though. So, all right, Karen, anyone you need to thank this episode?
Well, as usual, I'd like to thank all our listeners. We appreciate you. Everyone who follows us on social media. On our Instagram page, we're at 296, which is almost 300. Just a couple more, so bump us up. And anywhere you listen, please leave us a review. A nice one if you're feeling it.
Like and subscribe.
Who would you like to thank, Greg?
Karen, I would like to thank the band Verse 13 once again.
Well, why is that?
For letting us use their music in the podcast.
The music definitely makes the podcast better.
Yes, and I'm using a new one in, the little
intermission.
Our little intermission. Yes.
Yeah, we're trying new things to get people to like and follow us. So if you like the intermission, let us know. If you don't, let us know. info@scaryspirits.com.
All right, Karen, anything else?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to the Scary Spirits podcast, where the movies might be iffy, but the drinks are always solid. We would love to hear from you. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast, or go to our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want the direct line, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. If you really want to help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And remember, always drink responsibly. See you next week.